So people have been wondering where I've been. I've been regenerating. If you don't understand what that means, then just listen to this. My wordplay will snatch the average man's vertebrae. Shout out to my 10 tribe partners, baby orderly. When we combine, they considering us a mass threat. Blacks, natives, Mayas, Incas, and the Aztecs. You think it's far-fetched? You got to be kidding me. These same niggas saying Santa sliding down they chin. Look, when it comes to justice, they just ignore us. But watch everything we do through the eye of horrors. It's piss porous where we at, but where they at is gorgeous. I'm setting flames to these churches with Caesar Borgia. Got the duty of man, camp down in Georgia. Hold it down, keep the faith, the Most High is gonna reward you. I don't beef with my Hebrew peeps. I keep a cordial from a chosen stock, and you not. Sucks to be you. Yeah, the number is significant. While Satan's running wild, I'm trying to focus on my discipline. Moving like a whirlwind, I'm fighting till the world wins. To understand what that means, it's Isaiah 45:17. Aristocrat genes, kings and queens, but these Edomites be pulling our strings. I cut the cords in 94, avoid the bull like a matador. But if it's beef, I got an army of carnivores. Ric Flair, figure four, doors up the hinge. I got the gird with the drip, and it's matching my friends. I'm not friendly. I was taught to prove a friend. I'm set apart and don't give a damn about trends or your timelines, your Bentley or your high rise. Detonate your enterprises full of lies. Pull up and stop and bust most shots. And when I do, it be a genocide like Pol Pot. And that's real history. Show me a white Jew, I'll solve the Bigfoot mystery. It's not happening. You stuck in the case of fatal attraction. Both action with the words of the Lord when I be rapping. Catch your breath, line your target up. People need you. Let's go, cry loud. I cry loud. Yeah, direct like the TV. Heathens can't see me. Your rhymes is like feces. Favorite candy Reese's. Read the KJV. Stocking up on ammo. I've been paranoid lately. Splc got them hating on me with verbal energy of our captors draining our energy. Yeah, that's why I got this Hennessy. 2 to 2/3, we gon' toast to your memory. Most definitely got the recipe. Expertly snatch the souls of my enemies. The rest be running like they centipedes. I keep the law, fear the Lord, solidify my legacy. Tranquilo, just let it be. You lost, trapped in a maze like Frank Beverly. Change the time like Pope Gregory. You want the truth? Say the word, we'll pull up at your residency. Valhalla, but more heavenly. End of the road, truth be told, we inherently are the chosen, north and south interwoven. Hit you with 10 like DeRozan. You know what mouth got your ears smoking. Kwame Yasha Island, we live and die by the slow.
Matthew 19, verse 28. And Yahushua said to them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. Why Yahweh Shai. This your brother Ahmath. IQAhmath, first name. IQ is all the same. Do we got a good one today, y'all? Do we got a good one today, man? Prayerfully, everybody's doing well on the Shabbat, man. The Lord's Day. Yes, day of rest, a day of reconvene, a day that we're supposed to be recharging and re-establishing our spirit with the Most High. 6 days of labor, you get disconnected, you get caught up, you get distracted. But the seventh day, the Lord said, take some time out for me, not for me, for him, I should say. If y'all didn't catch that in that song, don't worry. I'll play it again. It's ain't to toot my own horn. I promise you, it's not for vainglory. I just want it to be known that I was calling out the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law, Satan's Poverty Law Center. I did that song 6 years ago. When I say SPLC got them hating on me, we're going to cover that. But guess what? The joke's on them. The hypocrisy is on them. The lies on them. The conspiracy is on them. All praise to the Most High, man, that we continually get exonerated. Because as much, this is why we got to stay faithful, man. Because as much as people are saying you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, you guys are a hate group, you're a cult, you're wasting your time keeping that law, don't take the Bible literal, all this other stuff, man. If you can see now, If you've been enduring, you can see everything that's been happening. Oh, we're starting to get exonerated. Now all of a sudden the narratives are changing. Back in the days when we was talking about we're the Jews, oh, everybody looked at us like we have, 3 eyes and 6 ears and 4 lips or whatever. Now the narrative has changed. Oh yeah, there are black Jews. Oh yeah, you can believe whatever you want to believe, no problem. Oh yeah. Now the compromises begin. The goalpost gets moved a little bit further down the line, right? So everything that we've been talking about, when we was holding up signs saying America's going to be destroyed, this, that, and the third, 30 years ago, people were saying you're crazy. Now you're seeing about of America's leadership and the luster and the hegemony of America is dwindling. Faith in America is dwindling. World War III is on the horizon. People are talking about nuke this, nuke that. When we was talking about nukes 30 years ago, 25 years ago, nah, you guys are crazy. Ain't nothing happening. You say that all the time. Blah. Okay, now it's all changing, right? So when we talk about organizations like the Satan's Poverty Law Center and them falsely framing and categorizing the so-called Black Hebrew Israelites, that's their term, as a hate group or an extremist group, it sounds like they're the ones who are the actual extremists. If y'all haven't heard, you don't know, we'll talk about it. And that's one thing. I don't see a lot of within our community. A lot of people maybe not know about it. I know one brother, Baaaad Israel, did a video and stuff about it. I knew about what he was covering either the same day or the day before, but I do my thing on the week. I do my thing on the Shabbat, so I didn't run to immediately put it out there what was discovered. But maybe there's a lot of Israelites who don't know, or it could be worse. It might be a reason why they're not saying anything. I don't know, but we're gonna talk about it. Prayerfully, everybody's solid, man. If you're doing good, you all right, and you're in the spirit today, throw a 7 in the chat, man. Show some interaction with your brother, man. If you haven't wiped your feet, make sure that you go back. Wipe your feet. You come on in here, man. All right. We're gonna get right into it. We're gonna get right into it. Of course, we're gonna have some more updates, some more stuff to talk about. But in the meantime, in between time, man, if you're doing all right, throw that 7 in the chat, man. If not, we definitely got them prayers going up strong for our brothers and sisters out there and the family and the faith all day long, all day long. All right, all praises, man. Seeing some good 7s up in there, man. Good deal, good deal. All right, so without further ado, man, I'm gonna get right to sharing, and we're gonna get right into it. Let's see here. How about we do it this way? Because I know how they do. So the beat goes on, and ain't nothing changing, right? No need to go to the proverbial scriptures in regards to how things are transpiring with peace and safety and ceasefires, this, that, and the third, and it's not happening because prior to they were supposed to have the end of the peace talks on Tuesday, this past Tuesday. And I talked some about this in a lesson I posted last night regarding the 7 trumpets in Revelation chapter 8. There was supposed to be the end of the ceasefire on Tuesday, and what Agent Orange, the head orangutan, he said, "Oh, we're going to extend it indefinitely," because he needs more time to regroup, to rearm, to try to get that budget passed, to get that $200 million or $200 billion, I believe it was. No, was it 200 billion, 200 million? No, $200 million. They want $200 more million so they can rearm up and reammo. They needed to catch their breath. When you're getting pounded out and you're like, man, all right, come on. Let me get up. Putting the beats on somebody, man, they asking for a break and that. Let me get up. Let me get on my feet. Okay. That's what's going on. Get up. Iran ain't slowing down, right? So they were supposed to continue on with the ceasefire talks today. All the way up until yesterday, maybe early in the morning, they were saying, oh, we're sending Steve Witkoff, we're sending over Jared Kushner, we're sending over our peace negotiators. And all the while, they had no assurances that Iran was even going to show up. Iran was like, we're done talking. We don't want to talk. It's over with. So as we can see right here, Trump says the U.S. team won't visit Pakistan as uncertainty surrounds Iran peace talks. So let that sink in. Let that sink in. This spells trouble, as Bernie Mac would say in what was that, Players Club? Because this is only a certainty that this war is going to be a long war. It will, by all the everything that we can see, extend into the evolution of World War III. The prophecies of the Most High is going to be coming to pass quickly, because that's the end. There's no more talks about peace. Iran said we don't want to talk. U.S. kept pushing, saying, no, let's talk. Come on, let's go. No, let's talk about it, man. Don't be like that. And Iran's like, no. Y'all disrespected us. You've been talking ish. And now when we firing back, now you want to call out, you want peace. It's like I've been saying, and I'm sure all of y'all have kind of pretty much figured out. The person that says we want peace, we need a ceasefire, is the one who's actually getting their ass whooped. To put it plainly, kids, cover your ears. Ain't like you ain't heard that word before, but I'm trying to be not. Hey, that word's in the scriptures to keep it real. But anyway, the person that wants peace and a ceasefire is the one who's getting hit up the worst. Not the person who the aggressor don't be like, all right, you know what? Let me stop beating on you so we can have some peace. No, it's the other way around. So the headline now, as of this morning, I don't know if you can see down here, Saturday, April 25th. Trump says the U.S. team ain't going to Pakistan. There's an uncertainty with these peace talks. It's not going down. The trip is canceled. President Donald Trump said he no longer. Hello? This is why last week the Spirit came to me and we covered over dealing with preparation. It's all being understood. It's all being revealed. It's all being more clear in the Spirit, right? No longer plans to send a U.S. delegation to Pakistan this weekend, further clouding the status of negotiations on ending the war with Iran. Stall peace effort. The White House had hoped to renew peace talks. That's who was hoping for it. You don't hear about Iran. Iran ain't saying, man, we was hoping we could talk, man, and y'all let up off of us so you can have the oil you can have with it. This ain't that. This ain't that. This is not Maduro when Maduro was telling Trump, man, hey, man, before you come bomb me, before you kidnap me, you can have the oil, you can have the gold. I'll cut off China and Russia. Let's talk. And you still go over there and stomp him out and kidnap him, and we ain't heard from him since. This is not that. So now it says the White House was hoping to get this done. Yeah, I'm sure they were. To renew peace talks by sending envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to Islamabad, but Tehran never confirmed plans to meet directly. Iran said, no, we ain't talking. Iran's top diplomat has already left Pakistan after talks with the mediators. So Iran told them, look, if they show up, tell them we're not interested. The Strait of Hormuz is ours. We're in control. We're charging tolls. You're not getting our oil. And if you don't want to hear our terms, then let's just get cracking. Because that's what it is. U.S. says, and we've seen Agent Orange say, listen, we want them to submit to everything that we want. If they don't like it, I'll wipe out a whole civilization. You heard him say that. That's a quote. Iran saying what? Okay, well, let's get busy then. And here's our terms if you want to talk. Their terms is we want reparations. We want you about the Middle East, shut down Israel and their hostilities towards our allies. And of course, America's not going to do that. We're going to have full control of the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to control, the flow of goods, services, oil, and energy coming through here. You have nothing to do with it anymore. That was their terms. America wasn't going to bow down to that. So guess what? At the stalemate, here comes Tuesday rolling around. Iran's already ready to go, saying, okay, well, you know where we stand. And then who backs down? Agent Orange said, we're going to extend the peace talk. We're going to extend the ceasefire indefinitely. So until they answer our call. And Iran is like, is that them again? Don't answer. Send them the voicemail. Hang up on them. That call is not getting answered, man. Forget about it. Lebanon, meanwhile, Israel has launched more deadly strikes in southern Lebanon. Oh, I thought they had a ceasefire too. Whoops. According to the country's health ministry, despite a ceasefire agreement 3 weeks, Iran-backed Hezbollah has fired rockets into northern Israel. Yeah, northern Israel got hammered. Northern Israel got hammered, man, and they were saying we need to extend that ceasefire. That's when it got extended, was after Hezbollah hit them with like 300 rockets. See, I say it, but guess what? Let me. Yeah, see that? Yeah, they got hit up. This was that was as of April 9th. But there was one even more recent. But anyway, y'all can see they've been getting pounded out, and they like, oh, okay, you know what? Let's talk peace. Sorry. Can we talk about this? Meanwhile, breaking the ceasefire as usual. All right. So let's continue on. This is why you know that the ceasefire and the talks is bogus, because as he was talking about having ceasefires, he was telling the military, shoot and kill, or unalive, as they say. Well, this channel ain't monetized anyway. Who cares? Tell them to shoot and kill Iranian boats mining the Strait of Hormuz. So, in one hand, you're saying we want a ceasefire, and the other side, you're telling everybody, shoot to kill. Any boats that's planning the mines in the seas, he says, man, shoot them up. So either you want a ceasefire, or you want to go to war, or you want death, mayhem, and destruction. We know what Esau loves: blood, guts. He loves it all. Hijacking, kidnappings, rapes, you name it. He loves it. The U.S. also boarded another tanker it said was involved in smuggling Iranian oil, as the intensifying maritime standoff leaves a crucial global trade route at an effective standstill. If you didn't see the lesson I did last night, I'm talking about these things, especially when it comes down to Revelation 8th chapter and the second trumpet being blown, and the maritime warfare, the sea warfare that's going to happen during the times of World War III. This is just like I said, this is just the ignition where we can see, well, where is this war going to happen, where they're going to be fighting with ships on the seas and all that. Now you're seeing it. It's making itself manifest. Has it hit to the point to where the trumpet is blown? No, but you're seeing it where it can happen. Okay. Blockade that Trump had broke down. Iranian ships was passing through, handling their business. Chinese ships was passing through, handling their business. Like, it's a complete farce, man. And he's quick to run on the TV and tell you everything is going according to plan. They've got the straits locked down. If you're hearing anything else, it's fake news. But everybody sees and knows what's going on. The Trump blockade collapses as Iranian ghost ships bypass U.S. Navy during shaky ceasefire amid uneasy oil prices. Right? So this is why they're saying, well, we were hoping that we could renegotiate and get the talks going again, because their whole system of defense, their whole plans on taking over the strait is all collapsing. Iran deploys more mines in the Strait of Hormuz, sources say. Now, this is after Trump said any of the ships that's planting mines, shoot to destroy. And they said, oh, really? Send more send more ships out there and plant more mines. Let's see if he does it. This is bad. This is bad. This is why you see the downfall of this place. Like I said from the beginning, when we was holding up them signs and the mushroom cloud plumes on the visual aids and all that other stuff, saying that the downfall of America is going to happen and it's fast encroaching. Now we're seeing the paper tiger, man. The stance that the U.S. has had in regards to the power and the control that they once had. That hypnotism is kind of fading off, man. The nations are starting to wake up. NATO's waking up. The EU's waking up. Third world countries is waking up. Look at Cuba. Cuba's like, look, we're preparing for war too, just in case. Even though they know, and it's been rumored, I would keep wanting to call him Slow Biden. Agent Orange, orangutan. He is been talking about, listen, Cuba could be next. Ecuador could be next. And who knows, those could be next distractions. If you can't get this one accomplished, that's why it says, well, indefinitely we'll hold off on bombing. Let me go pick on some other little country. Let me go bully them. Let me go bully Cuba. Let me go bully Ecuador. Let me go bully Colombia. Maybe I can get the oil from them. Maybe I can, take over their resources. And then I'll double back. That's all on the table. We've talked about that. So look, the IRGC Navy laid more mines in the Strait of Hormuz this week, according to a U.S. official and a source with knowledge of the issue. Why it matters. The military standoff in the world's most important oil choke point is escalating, with Iran laying mines and attacking commercial ships on one side and the U.S. tightening its naval blockade on the other. After being briefed on the new developments, President Trump ordered the U.S. Navy on Truth Social. I guess the U.S. Navy is on social media now. I guess they don't do military briefings in boardrooms. In the war rooms and all that anymore. You just advertise on the net now. This is ridiculous. Thursday, to quote, shoot and unalive any Iranian boats laying mines with no hesitation. The big picture, new mines in the Strait could deepen what the International Energy Agency has already called the largest oil supply disruption in the history of the global market. I made mention of that yesterday too. When you start seeing headlines regarding never before, in the history, unprecedented, all these, when you start hearing these terms, we're talking about historical moments that should stop and captivate you and say, well, what part of the prophecy is this then? Where is this leading to? If this ain't never happened before and we're living in that time and in that era, that means something. They said that the International Energy Agency has called this the largest oil supply disruption in the history of the global market, bigger than the 1970 oil cycle. Now, I wasn't around then. I mean, I don't remember what year that the oil crisis hit in the 70s, but I for sure wasn't moving around. I was either still a seed or possibly a babe. But the elders that's around me, y'all remember those days. Gas lines, shortages, empty pumps, and they're saying this is worse than that. I mean, look, they're down there looting and robbing gas down in Australia and other places where the pumps is dry now. Rationing energy in other parts of the world. Instituting in Europe, they're talking about having voluntary lockdowns, energy lockdowns. Saying, well, if you don't have to go out, stay in the house. If you can work from home, work from home. Save the energy, save the gas for those who really need it. That's what they're saying now in Europe. Look at it. Iran gunboats menace Hormuz as its own tankers test the U.S. blockade. So Iran's not running. So we can see what's going on. The U.S. blockade ain't working. Iran is the aggressors now. And America's saying, peace, peace, please, please, ceasefire. You know, they were saying, man, a week ago, they had to remove Agent Orange out of the war room because he was talking about give me the codes. Now that's rumored. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But a former CIA, I forgot his name, Larry something. You know, he was talking about he got information passed on to him that one of the top generals, man, had to tell Trump, man, fall back. We ain't giving you the codes. This how desperate he is. So, and again, that could be disinformation. You know, the CIA is good at that, misdirecting. But for all intents and purposes, as much as this dude be woofing, it's very possible that he may have said something that got out of pocket, and they probably said, "But what did you say?" The codes. No, we're not doing that, sir, Mr. President. No, you're out of control. Give me the goddamn code. you can hear him. His wig flip all over the place, man. Look like he been in a tornado, yelling and screaming in the White House. And they had to grab him and say, "Baby, get him up out of here. Remove him." They said they had to remove him out of his own. Let me see if I can find that. Let me keep it simple. Look at this. This is MSNBC. Trump kicked out of Iran briefing after major freakout. Out of control that he had to be asked to leave the room so the aides could get their work done after being briefed on 2 airmen who went missing when their fighter jets were no, that's not the one. But that's one where they say he was tripping. But there's another one where it said that the CIA cabinet had to see, they all talking about he had to get booted. But they were talking about, man, they had to shut him down and want the nuke codes. But I'm not gonna waste no time trying to find that. But anyway, some of y'all may have seen or heard it. If you had, let me hold on. Can't see the comments here. It was October '73. Yeah, I wasn't around, Ashar. The water for that for that breakdown. Wasn't around then. But nonetheless, if you was around, you remember that oil shortage, that power shortage. Okay. So let's continue on. Okay, look, Iran says the first Strait of Hormuz tolls revenues have been banked. This is one thing that America said that they didn't want them doing. Because what are they doing? They said that they were even the Strait of Hormuz is open to who Iran wants to deal with, and they're charging tolls for certain countries to export and transport their energy and their oil. So everybody's not getting through, and America was like, heck no, you can't do that. What about the petrodollar? What about us getting a piece? And Iran said, hell no, we're getting crypto. We're taking whatever we need. However we want to get the money, we're getting it. And now they're saying that it actually has been going through. So who's in control of the strait? Agent Orange said that the strait was permanently opened up. Everything was great again. No, it's shut down, and Iran is the one who's controlling it. And they're getting paid. He went on record talking about they're broke. The economy's all jacked up. They got nothing going on. Meanwhile, at the same time, he was lifting sanctions, allowing them to move. Russia getting sanctions lift up off of them so they can transport and get energy to the countries that's needed. I'm not even going to attempt to say this name. Hamid Reza, And the Baaaad, whatever, the deputy speaker of Iran's parliament claimed that Iran, not the United States, was now making demands after the first revenues for newly implemented tolls on shipping through the Strait of Hormuz were deposited into the state's central bank. So not only are they dealing with the warfare and the control of the Strait of Hormuz, they're getting paid during this. And America is the ones talking about, we were hoping to have a ceasefire talk, but they don't want to talk to us. We're not going to Pakistan anymore. I mean, who's really in control? Let's stop the madness. See, and this is what's going to make the pride of the so-called white man and the pride and the arrogancy of him to say, well, you know what? Forget it. Ground troops activate. And then they're going to go to the next level. We're using more sophisticated weaponry. And that's when everything's going to go to hell in the handbasket fast. So right now, I'm sure he's back there debating right now. They don't want to talk peace. Okay, F it. We're going to go all out. But he's not going to do it until probably the end of next week. And really what's so ironic is they talking about, man, the stock market and all that. They're not even tripping. Like they're tired of the seesaw battle. They like, man, let's just continue business as usual. Ignore what he's talking about when it comes down to the straits being closed, the oil, this, that, and the third. So the stocks ain't really being affected too much of late. So all the time when he was saying, we got a deal, there's no deal. We got a deal, there's no deal. The strait's open, the strait's not open. Like the markets is fluctuating, going up and down. They were just like, you know what, don't even listen to him, man. Just go straight forward. So I wouldn't be surprised if they pull some panic button and do something to really initiate the acknowledgement that the war is back on, bombs are flying. That indefinite ceasefire, maybe in the next week or two, who knows? But we know that America's regrouping because all of their intercepted missiles and the defense systems was getting shut down. Not shut down, but getting depleted. They don't necessarily have enough time to, reestablish and rebuild everything, but I'm sure that they, regrouping and getting their strategy together for when they're ready to get back busy again. It's just a stall tactic. Look at this. We have control over this strait. Haji Baaaad said during a public gathering in the western city of Qudus via ABC News. If the United States continues on its current course, no vessels will pass through the Strait of Hormuz. He added, we are not engaged in negotiations. Rather, we are making demands. Oops. Let me read that again. If the United States continues on its current course, no vessels will pass through the Strait of Hormuz. He added, we are not engaged in negotiations. We are making demands. And they over there getting paid. Let's continue. Trump blasted Obama's Iran deal. Now he faces similar trade-offs. So you remember that video, and some of y'all may have seen it, may not remember, but Trump was blasting Obama, talking about he don't know how to negotiate. He's going to get us in a war with Iran. Millions of people are going to die under him. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not a savvy businessman, blah, 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 blah. If I was in control, and now he's got the keys to the city. And he's doing the exact opposite that Obama did. I mean, even to the point to where the reports were last week that he was offering to give back $20 billion of Iranian money to them if they would just surrender the strait, stop with the surrender the uranium. They said, we'll give you $20 billion. And Iran was like, what? This is sacred ground, man. We can't be bought. As we covered in Isaiah the 13th chapter. Silver and gold means nothing to them. They're getting paid through this war. And you can see right here, billions in frozen assets may be handed back to Iran. Agreements to limit Tehran's nuclear program may eventually expire, and some of the same hardline leaders who crushed nationwide protests in January could end up better resourced than they were before President Donald Trump unleashed the crushing airstrikes more than 7 weeks ago. After a decade of fiercely attacking a previous deal with Iran, which I think Obama's deal was like 400 million. 400 million. He's talking billions that he's in compromise and having to, give back to them. He criticized Slow Biden when Slow Biden gave them back $6 billion. And he's talking about $20 billion he might have to give up. $400 million for Obama, $6 billion with Slow Biden, and now they're telling him $20 billion, or we don't want to talk unless it's that. After a decade of fiercely attacking the previous deal with Iran, Trump pursuing a way out of a war he launched has authorized U.S. negotiators to consider a bargain that involves many of the same trade-offs one of his predecessors confronted. So he's in the same situation, not even the same, worse. And he's been sitting back there acting like he's got the art of the deal. He's playing 3D chess. He got it all figured out. He's, his chess not chess. Come on, man. This dude is weak as hell. I mean, I thought Slow Biden was weak, man, but Agent Orange might take the cake. Actually, I mean, it's just Esau, period, man. The bottom line is the power is slipping from his hands. No matter who's sitting in the White House, the trap house, doesn't matter. The inevitable end of Esau is right before us. 2 Ezra 6:9 tells us that. And let's read that real quick. And why it's so funny, I'm thinking about that, is and shout out to them brothers out there in the WFI. I think that was in Detroit. And I only watched a little bit of the video, but they were dealing with Hocab Malone and some other coon Jake out there, right? And they were talking about 2 Ezra 6:9. Now all of a sudden, the Christians now are reading the Apocrypha and know how to break down the words of the book. Before they were saying it's a pseudepigraphic book, ain't nobody that doesn't matter. We ain't reading the Apocrypha. That's not part of the canon. Oh, that book we don't acknowledge it. Now, so this brother was out here debating with the young brothers out there in WFI, talking about 2 Ezra 6:9 and Esau, right? And I couldn't believe this. This is how you know, man. When you getting spoon-fed, dumbed down Christianity and folly from your enemy, you look like a damn fool out there. The dude said that the understanding of 2 Ezra 6 and 9 is he told the brother, and I'm kind of paraphrasing because, like I said, I just watched a little bit of it and I had to turn it off after I heard what the dude said. But he said, well, look, if you know that the Hebraic thought in the mind back in the day was Esau an enemy of Israel? Yeah. And the brother's like, yeah, of course. Okay. So Esau is the enemy or represents the enemy. So when we read 2 Ezra 6 and 9, it says, for Esau is the end of the world. Esau represents the enemies of the world, enemies of everywhere, not, Israel. So it's going to be the end of all the enemies of God. And it ain't talking about just I had to stop it. I said, okay, I'm done. He had the nerve to say that Esau just represents the enemy. I mean, just completely made all this up out of thin air. It's bad out there for Christians, man. And the fact that they're even trying to attempt to start, now they want to acknowledge or at least read from the Apocrypha. And they have the nerve to try to give the understanding to the men who brought it to the table and have studied it over the years and understand it. Now they want to come out and start trying to teach. I mean, it's ridiculous out there, man. I have no time to waste with them. This is how we see, Esau's over with, man. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followed with it. So we can see the writing on the wall, man. The reasonings that Esau is even using is just getting worse and worse. You see from Obama, 400 million you had to give back to Iranians. Slow Biden gave back another 6 billion. You see how it's increasing? Now they're talking about 20 billion. The Agent Orange is got frozen and it is offering them. They can't pay their way out of this. This is like we read earlier. Let's read that in Isaiah 13 one more time. 13:17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. The Medes is representing the Iranians, Iran, right? The Persians and the Medes. They were combined into one nation. The Lord said he's going to stir them up against them. Who's the them? It's about Babylon. How do we know that? In ancient Babylon, verse 1, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. So this is the downfall of and this ain't talking about ancient Babylon. We've been talked about that 1,000,001 times. I've even brought out articles and information and proof on the my breakdown I did on Daniel, the 7th chapter, with the Persians and the Medes and the destruction, or not even destruction, the transitioning of power from Babylon that the Persians and the Medes took over. It was not no major wars, it wasn't no destruction, damn sure wasn't done by fire that they got taken down. This is the whole nother Babylon. This is the new Babylon. Because look down here, it says what? Verse 19, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. There's no historical records that ancient Babylon got destroyed by fire, brimstone, and got destroyed and burnt up, and many of the men, women, and children were destroyed, and there's no trace of the Babylonians anymore. It doesn't exist. So this can't be talking about ancient Babylon. It's talking about the daughter of Babylon. It's talking about new Babylon, the Babylon of Revelation, that's going to face a enemy, the Persians, the Iranians, bottom line, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. They can't pay. You can't pay your way out of this thing. That's what they want to do. How much? Well, money answers all things, doesn't it? Let's look at it. Obama gave Iran $400 million. Look at the $400 million payment to Iran was part of a settlement agreement related to claims from the 1979 Iranian Revolution, not a ransom. So, regardless, they gave Obama gave $400 million, right? Or gave it back. The payouts is their money; they're getting it back. Okay. Biden gave Iran back $6 billion. Okay, there you go. Biden $6 billion. Ransom payment to Iran fuels terror. Slow Biden in hot water. Because what? Shortly after that, October 7th happened. Let's look at 20 billion. Oh, there you go. Okay, look. Trump admin modes unfreezing 20 billion. 400 million, 6 billion. He's up to 20 billion. And he says he's in full control. Regime change, they're broke up. I can't tell. I can't tell at all. All right. Let's continue. Now, even with China, a week or so ago, he said that he had a deal with China. He told China, listen, stay out of this. Don't send them no more weapons. We'll get the strait opened up, and y'all going to have great success, great money, right? Remember, he was saying the strait is fully opened up and blah, blah, blah. And he went on record saying, well, I talked to Xi, and he's going to want to give me a big fat hug when we meet in the coming months, because I open up the strait and now China can get their business flowing, and he's going to love me because what I did for him. Remember that? Okay. Look, Trump says China agrees not to send Iran weapons and predicts Xi Jinping will give him a big fat hug. So he said China agreed not to send them weapons. 6 days later, breaking news, Trump confronts Xi. I thought he was supposed to give him a big hug. He said Xi Jinping was going to be kissing his butt cheeks. But this orangutan in office, man, is ridiculous, man. He's so quick to jump out there and jump online and get the glory, and it. That's why I said, just let him talk, let him do his thing, because it's eventually gonna bite him in the ass as usual, man. As usual, like the script. Look, the scriptures tell us that. Let's read it one more time. It's Psalms. Psalm 64:8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. You just let him talk, man. And then all you got to do is start picking apart each lie, each deception, each misdirection, as he's the one that's constantly talking about fake news and everybody's out to get him, and everybody's lying. And not just let him talk. He told Xi Jinping, man, look, if you stop sending, we got a deal. China's not going to send no weapons to Iran no more because Xi Jinping loves me. And I've opened up the Strait of Hormuz indefinitely. It's open. Happy days are here again. Everything's flowing. Lies. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And don't nobody want nothing to do with Esau no more, man. So now look, 5-6 days later, Trump confronts Xi as U.S. forces seize Chinese ship carrying a mysterious gift to Iran. Mysterious. Oh. So 1 minute I thought they was all good. Now you're seizing ships? I'm sure China's not too happy about that. China sent Iran a gift, quote, that was intercepted by U.S. forces in the region, Donald Trump said Tuesday morning, while venting about Chinese President Xi Jinping a month before that Beijing meeting. They're supposed to meet in Beijing next month. Same meeting, he said that Xi Jinping was going to be kissing his butt and want to give him a hug and loves him and all this other stuff. And Xi Jinping, they ain't had no damn agreement. He be just running out there just saying any old thing. They have a conversation. He gets off there and says the exact opposite. And China and Iran sit back saying, how did he get that out of our conversation? What? We did not speak about that. Yeah, I just got off the phone with Xi, and he's not going to send weapons. It's open. He loves me. He's going to give me a hug. And he's like, no, I said, we're not stopping giving anything to our allies. And the strait is open to us. We've already got an agreement with Iran. It's not open to everybody. What are you talking about? Yeah. It's open to everybody. No, we said, Iran said our ships can go through. Not every. Yeah, we got a deal. And they sit back saying, what the hell is wrong with this guy? There you go. Speaking of CNBC about the U.S.-Iran war, the president now noted how the Islamic regime is trying to, quote, move missiles around even during a ceasefire. They probably have done a little bit of restocking. We caught a ship yesterday that had some things on it, which wasn't very nice. A gift from China. Don't nobody want to deal with this guy, man. That's why I said, and everybody see him want to flee away from him. Because his mouth gets him in trouble. The UAE asked the U.S. about a wartime financial lifeline. So, and this is a cold cut to the proponents of Arabs are the white man, because they always talk about how the Arabs got all the oil, the blessings of Ishmael, and they run everything. They got all the money and everything else. Right? But hold on. Now, if that's the case, before we let's preface this first. Let's preface this first, right? Revelation 18. We're just gonna go here real quick. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. The world and global nations are not waxing rich through the oil trade that Ishmael provides. Ishmael waxed rich because that's a necessity that the countries and kingdoms need to survive, that have the business operations, right? But no, America is a place that all the nations come through that get their economic and diplomatic policies from. The petrodollar, the oil that gets sold by Ishmael, is not getting sold unless it's backed by the U.S. dollar. That's how they're getting their money, through the petro system, which is under fire right now. It's all going through America. That's how they're waxing rich. America is Babylon. The so-called white man is Esau. And how do we look? The United Arab Emirates is asking the U.S. for a financial lifeline. They're coming to America saying we need a bailout. We're running low on cash. We're having trouble over here with this damn war. We can't get our oil off. What's the name of that? Dubai Hotel closing. Oh, they're saying it's for renovation. I just remember seeing the headline. Oh, they're closing this summer. I thought it was because of financial reasons. Nope, I'm wrong. They're talking about they're closing for the summer for renovations. I think it's because they can't afford to keep the mugs open. Case in point, Emirati officials speak with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent about accessing dollars if the Middle East conflict drags on. Oh, you need a loan? You need a bailout? Yeah, no wonder you can't operate them Dubai hotels where everything, was flowing over there, everything with money going over there to Dubai. Where the Instagram models are getting flown out so they can get humiliated for money. Yeah, all of that. Oh, now they need to, who has to bail them out? Who are they going to? Oh, they're going to Babylon for money. They're going to Esau for the bailout. Arabs are not the white man. Stop it. Look, the United Arab Emirates has opened talks with the U.S. about obtaining a financial backstop in case the Iran war plunges the oil-rich Persian Gulf state into a deeper crisis, U.S. officials said. The UAE Central Bank Governor Khalid Mohammed Balama raised the idea of a currency swap line with the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Treasury and Federal Reserve officials in meetings in Washington last week, the official said. The Emiratis emphasized that they had so far avoided the worst economic effects of the conflict, but might still need a financial lifeline. Oh, so Ishmael's going to go beg Esau for some money. Oh, okay. The talks highlighted the UAE's concern that the war could inflict major damage on its economy and its position as a global financial hub. Yeah, because guess what? Esau is the one who controls the earth. Esau is the one. He's the end all be all. Everybody got to go to him for their financial security. As much as they hate it, they got to deal with him because the earth's been given into the hand of the wicked. They're saying, look, man, can you stop this thing? Because our pockets is hurting over here. Can you get a deal done? Well, I'm trying to get a ceasefire going. They don't want to talk. I said indefinitely, I will fall back. Hopefully we can get things rolling because we're getting broke over here too. That's the mentality. That's what's being said, and it's not working. So the talks highlighted the UAE's concern that the war could inflict major damage on its economy and its position as a global financial hub, depleting its foreign reserves and scaring away investors who once saw it as a stable and secure place for their money. The conflict has damaged Emirati oil and gas infrastructure and shut off their ability to sell oil using tankers, transitioning the Strait of Hormuz, depriving it of its key source of dollar revenues. But since says many, so it's not just the UAE, many U.S. allies have asked for currency swaps amid Iran war turbulence. Isn't that why we just got the reading? Regarding all of the nations? All the nations, many nations, okay, drink the wine of the wrath of fornication. All of them want another sip. The parts now. I'm dry over here. I need another shot. Why? Because that's where their riches are coming from. When things slow down, when things ain't getting in effect, guess what they got to go to? White Zaddy. And now Baaaad is saying many U.S. allies need help. So there you have it. Everybody's looking for America to bail them out, help them. And America's like, I can't help myself. What you mean? I'm damn near $40 trillion in debt. The people at America's homeland are financing groceries. Buy now, pay later. The people over here are up in arms over gas prices, energy prices, food prices, and we're paying for food that's been compromised. And other nations are saying we need more help. Help. Look at this. Never surrender. Iran's chief negotiator comes out swinging as he says the regime is ready to reveal new cards for the battlefield. So we're not going to beat the dead horse with this. They're not backing down. They're ready to take it to the next level. America's trying to regroup and trying to refigure out Israel. The Israelis are over there trying to regroup and figure out, constantly extending ceasefire deals that is constantly getting broken with Hezbollah. It's not looking good. And now talks is off. And Iran's saying we ain't surrendered and we're ready to put some new things out on the table. We're ready to go to the next level with this warfare. So things are only going to look to be escalating. Speaking of escalation, man, Navy Secretary John Phelan got fired amid tensions with Pete Hegseth. Imagine that. Regime change. Who? Where?
Fragile ceasefire in place, and with the U.S. enforcing a naval blockade of Iranian ports, this morning Navy Secretary John Phelan is out, effective immediately. A Pentagon spokesman adding,
people are getting fired from this regime every week. What was it? The labor secretary. I think that was her title. She just got fired amid so-called. I think they said amid some corruption. Another generals is getting fired, and he's running around talking about regime change and their infrastructure is completely collapsed. And who? I said, anytime he's speaking about himself. Let's listen to this.
Wish him well in his future endeavors.
It's an honor to sit before you as the nominee for Secretary of the Navy.
Before taking the job just 13 months ago, Phelan was a Florida businessman and a major donor to President Trump's campaigns. He had never served in the military. This past December, he appeared with the president at Mar-a-Lago to announce a new class of battleships bearing Trump's name.
John Phelan is one of the most successful businessmen in the country, in our country.
Now, do you see where he's going wrong at? He's putting businessmen, his billion dollar buddies, in offices as a Navy secretary, never serving in the military, nothing. What was his job? To make some new damn boats with Trump's name on them. This is why they're getting their asses whipped over there right now. They're more concerned about the glitz and the glamour and the glory of pride. Meanwhile, he's over here firing cast man that don't do his bidding. As we know, the scriptures say, man, pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall.
It's been a tremendous success.
Overnight, NBC News learned tensions between Phelan and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had been mounting, according to multiple sources familiar with the relationship. The approach Phelan was taking when it came to shipbuilding appears to have been the main reason for the firing, multiple sources say. A senior administration official telling NBC News President Trump and Secretary Hegseth agreed new leadership at the Navy is needed. Replacing him as acting head of the Navy will be Undersecretary Hung Cao, a combat veteran who ran unsuccessful campaigns for the House and Senate in Virginia. It's the latest shakeup at the Pentagon, coming just weeks after Hegseth forced out the Army's top uniformed officer and 2 other Army generals.
Who's scrambling to try to get some order in their military? Is it Iran? Is Iran panicking? Iran was like, man, we ready to unleash some new stuff out on the fields, man. We're not surrendering. It's going down. Let's go. And America's over here scrambling. Fire him. Get rid of her. What's going on? Who's in charge? It's over with. Babylon, Baaaad, confusion. Yeah, this is the place. This is the place.
This creates a real chilling effect in our military, and it's downright dangerous to be doing this in the middle of a war.
You don't say. You don't say. Unbelievable,
With-
man. Esau is so funny. Labor Secretary Lori Chavez de Remer will resign amid misconduct allegations. Oh, so we got more corruption and folly going on within the White House. Another one down. Another one bites the dust, man. Christy Nome, she's down from, ICE and her cross-dressing husband. Well, this place is a mess. The former Oregon Congresswoman is a 3rd member of Trump's cabinet, all women, that stepped down during his 2nd term. White House Communications Secretary Stephen Cheung posted on X on Monday that Chavez de Remer would leave the cabinet to take a position in the private sector. They always say that. They'll go in the private sector. We don't know what that means. Though he did not say where she was going, Cheung said the Deputy Labor Secretary, Keith Sunderling, would become the acting head of the agency. Accusations that Chavez de Remer had engaged in misconduct, including personal travel during taxpayer-funded trips, servicing a complaint filed with the Labor Department's Inspector General that was first reported by the New York Post. Okay. That's her. We talked about this last week in times past. The poly market. Remember that? Millions of dollars was getting made by people betting on the war, somehow getting insider trader information, making major come-ups. Now they finally busted one. A U.S. soldier involved in the Maduro raid charged with betting on the operation. Man, they're betting on the destruction of whole islands and peoples and genocides and all of that. And they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars because they're getting information being told, look, this guy knew we're going to go raid and capture Maduro. Let's place a bet on it. He goes and drops the bread. He already knows he's going to win. The Special Forces soldier allegedly made more than $400,000 on poly market as a result of the bets, prosecutors say. Federal authorities arrested and charged a U.S. Special Forces soldier who's accused of using classified information about the raid that removed Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro from office to make prediction market bets. Remember last week, we talked about it before in 1 Timothy 6 and 10 about the love of money is the root of all evil. You want to know where the roots of evil are, man? Follow the money. It's always a damn Edomite or somebody behind it, man, because what? They control the banking system. They control the finance departments. They control the stock markets. He bet a total of $33,034 on the Maduro operation on the prediction market platform Polymarket. Federal authorities said he ultimately made more than $409,000 as a result of the bets placed on the U.S. operation, an unsealed indictment alleges. High-powered, white-collar crimes. And they be so quick to talk about, the stereotype. Black folks, all they do, they steal, they're thieves. That man is the biggest thief on earth. You stole human cargo. You stolen lands. You stealing money on the black market, the white market, poly market. What are you talking about? They love to throw out blacks and Hispanics. Those guys are all thieves and robbers and scammers and what? That's not to say that we don't have. We definitely do. However, the biggest is him. Case in point. Look at this. We're going to get killed. White House in full-blown panic as economic outlook darkens. Look, that's why I said as time continues on, man, Esau has no answers for this. As far as the economy goes, and you know the scriptures say in Ecclesiastes, the 10th chapter, money answereth all things. If you don't have the money, you don't have the finances to sustain this place, it can only go down. People are going to get more desperate to survive. People are going to get more cunning with how they, scheme, scam, and take advantage of people. Law of the jungle is about to, kick in within the next year or so. Right now, the agriculturists and all of them are talking about, because of the shortages on fertilizer and everything else, all the crops that in the food supplies that's not, even the GMO ones, because the GMO, they still got to get planted. This is all the harvest from last year and this year. The fertilizer shortages is going to kick in when stuff got to get planted now, the summer, fall, for next year's growth. That's where the problem's going to come into play. Right now, there's going to be some food. There'll be some stuff. Look, Second Ezra. Let's read 16. And let's read 19. And we'll read down. It says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. So these are the things that's going to be utilized for destruction, to bring forth correction, right? Famine, plague, tribulation, anguish. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. So many of people is not going to look at this as a problem. Because as long as you can, go to whatever your local fast food spot, they got 2 for 1 this, or you get 10 nuggets for $1. You're like, what's in them nuggets that you give me 10 chicken nuggets for $1? Like, what is that? Everybody now has got they all breaking down to their budget deals now. So as long and everybody, I ain't gonna say everybody, a lot of places are taking EBT now, and I'm not hating on nobody's got on EBT. Get yours if you can. But that's what's making people still say, I can still, I'm cool. Repent, what? Change, huh? No need. I'm cool. Okay, but look, behold, victuals shall be so good, cheap on the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. So it's not going to be that so much that there won't be food. It just won't be affordable for everybody. As we can see, prices is going up. There's going to be food, even if they're making the Frankenfoods, the GMOs, the fake whatever, the clone meat. That food's going to be available. But cheap food, not just necessarily on the financial tip, but the quality. And people are going to settle. We got food. What are you talking about? But there's going to be many who can't even afford it. That's where the famine comes into play. Because look, the history of the famine, just like we talked about last week with, let's say, Joseph. Joseph saved up 7 years of plenty. Egypt was overflowing with corn, grain. They had the food. People came in, they had the money, they bought grain, they was eating. Then when the economy shut down, people was getting broke, they didn't have no food. Oh, guess what? What do we have to sell? Sell the animal, sell the cow, sell the horse. We don't need it. We got to eat. Okay, sell your car. Get the money. We got to eat. Sell your, go pawn this, pawn that to get some food. That's be the next scenario. When that don't work, okay, mortgage the house, rent the house out. What they do back then? They sold their land, sold their property, all going back to Egypt. They didn't have that; they had to sell themselves. So it's a trickle down. Whether the goods, services, the food, that will be there. However, it won't be affordable for many. Won't be quality for many. And in some places in the world, it won't be there at all. Look at the Middle East. The Middle East relies on over 90% of their food needs to be imported because the conditions, the environmental conditions, you can't grow food over there. They have to get it imported. So now with this strait getting shut down, they can't get the food flowing in. A lot of other places throughout the earth, man, is going to be like that. So when we see this stuff, look, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So it's going to be kill or be killed. I mean, Second Ezra 15 chapter said people are going to be breaking into houses because of the lack of food. So it says even them that escape the hunger, the people that got food, they're going to get destroyed by the sword. How is that going to happen? Second Ezra 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Let's drop down. Verse 18. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity on his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So even if you do, you got your food and all that. That's why we talked about last week when Yahweh said it in Luke, what was it, 22:38? Where he said, look, if you ain't got a sword, sell a garment, get one. And they said, we got two. He said, oh, that's enough. To be able to protect your food, your home, your well-being, it is going to be paramount, because it said the ones that don't die of famine, that got the food, people are going to kill them for their food. They're going to die by the sword. The incoming famine, economic despair, so forth and so on, man, it's evident. We can see. Look, the White House is saying we're going to get killed through this economic downturn. As the U.S. war against Iran rages on, strategists in and around the White House are growing increasingly panicked over rising energy costs and the impact on voters who they fear will overwhelmingly reject Republican candidates in the upcoming midterm elections. That's a foregone conclusion. The Republicans are not going to hold the House in this upcoming midterm elections unless it gets rigged, as he like to say, unless it gets stolen. But by all intents and purposes, there ain't no way they're going to allow the regime as it is to stay intact. People are begging and crying for change. So the energy crisis, they say it's going to be bad. They're talking about economically, we're going to get killed. Got to stay prayed up, stay prepared as best as possible. Increase your fasting. And I say this to y'all as much as I say it to myself, because we never know where this thing is going to go. Well, we know where it's going to go. We just don't know when and how soon, how fast, the impact that it hits. Look, we're facing the biggest energy security threat in history. We made mention of that earlier. Trump administration to begin refunding $166 billion in tariffs. And that money's not going to you or me. Remember, he said, oh, we're going to get a minimum of $2,000 dividends for everybody because the tariffs are doing so well. We got trillions of dollars coming back, and Supreme Court shut that down, man. Now the Trump administration has to refund all that tariff money they collected on these companies and made the companies pay to go ship out their goods and get the goods back in and all the other stuff. And guess who got to pay for that? Your tax dollars, my tax dollars, man. America can't write no check and say, here's, give them this and tell them sorry. We collected the money, we're holding it. No, they've been spending that money up, dividing it up amongst themselves, let alone being almost $40 trillion in debt. They ain't got the money, so guess what? Taxes, you, me, and everybody else that paying taxes gonna have to get that money back. More economic despair, man. 2 CIA officers die in Mexico in an accident after counter narcotics operation. So 2 CIA cast man got caught up doing a possible illegal operation down there. They got in an accident, man. Dried off a damn what was it, a cliff or something like that. And they was being questioned now, or were they supposed to be down there? Because remember, America saying they want to get down there and stop the terrorism with the narco traffickers. And if you know, if we all know the history, man, America is involved in drug dealing. America is highly involved in the drug trade. Don't nothing move but the money. Nothing moves without them having to say so, a piece of it. I've been recently watching and got intrigued with the Godfather of Harlem and the Bumpy Johnson story. Now they said, most of it is, I don't know how much is fictitious, how much is real. I mean, I know they're using real names, they're using real places, all this other stuff. But there's one particular episode where, that, and this was going to go into what we're talking about with the SPLC. Stay tuned, hold tight. I know y'all saying, when are you going to talk about the SPLC? You said, just relax. We're going to get to them. Don't worry. But this goes into CIA, FBI, and the storyline on there is how desperate they wanted to destroy Malcolm X. And there's a particular part now, how historically accurate this is, I don't know. But they wanted to allow Bumpy Johnson, which was the quote unquote Godfather of Harlem, brother, they was going to allow him and give him keys of cocaine if he would help set up Malcolm X assassination. And him and Malcolm X was friends. And, through the show, and obviously historically, Bumpy Johnson turned him down and told him F off. But the fact of the matter is that all of the cocaine that the CIA was seizing, they were allowing and giving it to assets that they needed and allowing them to sell. Very similar to what was going on with the Oliver North and the Iran-Contra situation and Fernando, what's his name? Yeah, Fernando Blandone, Rick Ross, the CIA drug trade. I mean, all similar stuff, man. So when we hear about CIA officers in Mexico that died in a deadly car crash, and now the president is like, oh, hold on, I didn't even know about this. What are they doing over here? We need to get an investigation going. Look, 2 U.S. embassy officials who died in an automobile accident in northern Mexico as they returned from the scene of a counter-narcotic operation worked for the CIA as part of a significantly expanded role in battling narcotic trafficking in the Western Hemisphere, according to 2 people familiar with the matter. The deadly car crash Sunday in the state of Chihuahua also took the lives of 2 Mexican officials and prompted Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum to say she would investigate whether the operation ran afoul of the country's national security laws. The CIA declined to comment. Oh, I'm so sure. They probably was over there running some little black ops operation, man, running some drugs, got caught up. And now the president of Mexico is saying, was this sanctioned? Like, where's this? We didn't know nothing about this. So now they got to deal with that. But that's the way that America operates, man. Here's one more. And I promise you, we're going to get to SPLC shortly. Tick bites causing the highest rate of ER visits in a decade, according to the CDC. So the uprising of tick bites. Now, this is interesting because one of the brothers has sent a video. Now, how true it is, I don't know. But if you want to throw the tinfoil hat on, man, and walk down this aisle with me, come on. There's a so-called conspiracy or a notion that there's been GMO modified ticks that when they bite people, it causes them to have like allergic reactions to eating red meat, and it's supposed to curb or cut people off from eating red meat or whatever. So the ticks are being utilized to reduce the consumption of red meat. And not short after I seen that video, I seen this article and I said, damn, now you're talking about ticks got the highest rate of ER visits now in a decade. And now there's rumors that there's modified, all right, see y'all later. Modified ticks now that are shutting down people from eating red meat. As we're talking about food shortages, and we're talking about population control and the cost and the rising of beef. So the elites, you know, if this is true, somebody wants the meat for themselves. You understand what I'm saying? Far be it from the so-called white man that use germ or biological warfare, right? We've seen Bill Gates running around talking about GMO mosquitoes that he's engineered. Who knows? All right, let me put my tinfoil hat back off and set it down. But look, with spring in full force and summer on the way, the Centers of Disease Control is raising the alarm on tick bites. The agency says the bites are sending Americans to the ER at the highest rate in nearly 10 years. During the second week of April, 71 out of every 100,000 emergency room visits were for tick bites. So go figure. Ironic that happened. All right, let's continue on. You know, as the scriptures say, man, but iniquity has abound, the love of many shall wax cold, man. Evil niggas like this, and I'm gonna say it what it is, man. This is supposedly, you know, for all intents and purposes, I haven't continually followed up on this story, but this is over some domestic issues. The brother had threatened a couple of years prior in some arguments with his now deceased wife, that he was going to kill him. I mean, kill the kids and her at one point in time. He made a threat before. Suspect dead after 8 children were killed and 2 women were wounded in the Louisiana shooting. The suspect, who was the father of 7 children, was killed after a vehicle chase. Police said the slain children were 3 to 11 years old. I mean, if that ain't the curses for you, man, the scriptures say that the man's going to leave his children. Not only leave them, but I mean, this is wild. Look at it. A man in Louisiana killed 8 children Sunday in the shooting that authorities described as a domestic violence incident and was later killed by police after he fled in a carjacked vehicle. The suspect's wife and a woman believed to be his girlfriend were also shot and seriously injured in the violence, which occurred at 2 homes in the early morning. Shreveport police. My bad. I thought the wife. I thought I saw the report that the wife had passed away, but maybe they were just shot. Like I said, I haven't followed up a lot on this particular one. The children killed were 3 boys, 5 girls, ages 3 to 11. The Cato Parish Coroner's Office said police had previously given their ages as about 1 to 14. Now, this is why 2/3 of Israel got to go. I mean, he's already been taken out, however. But, you know, when you deal with stuff like this, man, it's not I mean, what did I say, man? It's cheaper to keep her. I don't know what the situation was. I believe there was some allegations about cheating and some more stuff going on, man. But the fact that this man decided to say, man, over an issue with him and his woman, that the children had to pay the price. It's unbelievable. That he decided he was going to destroy his family, then rather leave that situation. But again, it goes apart for the course, man, where the scriptures let us know the times that we live in, man. And that, not to say that Israel can't do some bad, man, but 2 Timothy 3, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures, lovers of more than lovers of the Most High. I mean, we can see all of that playing out currently in real time. And the love of many waxing cold, man, iniquity abounding. When you see more heinous crimes, rising up, that we're in them times. Just do it. Isn't that what Nike says? Doomsday. Nike's hitting. Last week it was Disney with 1,000 jobs getting cut. 1,400 jobs after brutal sales drop caused by a woke push. So Nike now had to chop down 1,400 jobs as they got hit up now. Economy's doing bad, y'all. Bad. Crash Patel, head of the FBI. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I want to see something. Give me 1 second, y'all. I want to see if I can find this video of this guy. Let me see. Oh yeah, here you go. There you go. All right, hold on. Let me back him up. Let me back him up a little bit. All right. So let me get back and share my screen again. And so Crash Patel has been under fire now. I forgot what publication it was. I think it was Washington Post, one of these particular publications, right? They've been out there talking about how this dude is a drunk and is not fit for his particular position. There's been reports of him, having to be told he got to leave meetings, some more stuff, man. Basically, that he's not taking his job serious. He's a party boy. He's got an alcohol problem. Somebody had told me they had I seen one of them YouTube cats said that between him and Pete Hegseth, they're calling their department the liquor cabinet. So now he's went on the rampage saying he wants to sue. I forgot who it was, what particular publication it was. He wants to sue because he says that this is libel and slander and is baseless. And how dare they talk about him, saying that he's a party guy drinking all the damn time. Now, mind you, this is the head of the FBI who's supposed to be over the Epstein files. He's supposed to be investigating all kind of stuff that has been slipping through the cracks. Judge dismissed his defamation lawsuit over the claim he frequented like nightclubs. So, people are already on his head saying that this guy's over here out of control. He's utilizing federal funds to fly his girlfriend from Nashville to Philly and, taking advantage of federal resources. right? He says that he don't have a drinking problem, man. Everything's just fine. Now, hold on. He says he doesn't have a problem. Oops, hold on. Now, here he goes. After the U.S. In the Winter Games and the U.S. hockey team won, he's in there celebrating as if he was on the team. Does that look like somebody who's in control? Or does this look like a frat party? I mean, and he just looks odd. I seen one other blackface back there. Not other blackface, but dark skinned face. He's the only one in here turning up. I mean, he looks out of place. One brother in the background. There you go back there. Is he a brother? I don't know who that is. If he's a brother or not. If he's a damn Arab with a, he look like he might have a damn meat tree on. Dark Arab back there. Yeah, he is damn another damn Arab. Look at that. That's the head of the FBI. And he says he doesn't have a drinking problem. He's fine.
Dude, guess how much it cost me to make sure my family...
He's okay. Does he look like he's in control? This is why we're seeing everything going down from ICE, all the problems with ICE, to the Epstein files, to you name it. He says he's fine. Nothing's wrong with him, and he's gonna sue for defamation. When the judge looks at videos like that, they like, man, throw this out, man. This dude's drunk as hell. No way you not sober, man. No way. Now, here's another good video I ran across. Let me see if I got it up on the on my other let me see. No, that's not it. Hold on. I'm gonna have to open this one up. Now here's another video. This was funny too. So not only are they saying that he's got a problem with the liquor, but there seems to be something wrong with his nose. There seems to be something going on with the nose candy. Let you tell me if you hear what I'm hearing.
The deep state is afraid of him, and they just know he's got a lot of information on them, and that's why they're terrified. And you can see them just
by AOC. She's in her 20s. You got your butts kicked by a former bartender.
What's the? I mean, is he having post-nasal drip, bad allergies, or is he fiending for another bump?
the deep state is afraid of him, and they just know he's got a lot of information on them, and that's why they're terrified. And you can see them just
by AOC. She's in her 20s. You got your butts kicked by a former bartender.
All these efforts
and are unclassified. And what Google just did to us today, we're absolutely dead serious.
what he does for a living, and he's
they comply with the law. And I'm still waiting for
it. What's he waiting for? Another hit? It's not looking good for this guy, man. Don't be surprised if he gets ousted sometime soon, because they're on his head that he's spending too much time getting lit and not doing the job. So we shall see what happens with him, man. But yeah, it's not looking good for him either. But his White House, man, the crack house, man, is in the trap house is in a quandary. Economically, militarily, the internal alphabet agencies is all jacked up, man. The downfall of America is coming. Not coming, it's here. You can see it. Started and ending this year. to look to my Crash Patel invitation. Unbelievable. All right, let's get to the real what they call it, nitty gritty, right? Satan's Poverty Law Center, man. We got to cover this. Got to cover this, right? Here's what we're talking about. Now, for those who don't know, many may be aware, maybe not. Maybe you might not be so aware. The Southern Poverty Law Center, when we look back at, let me see, where's my thing at? Like I said, I'm not going to, I don't want to toot my horn too much, man, but I mean, look.
I keep the law, fear the Lord, solidify my, yeah. That's why I got this ammo, I've been paranoid lately. Splc.
Who?
Ammo, I've been paranoid lately. Splc, got them hate.
All right. One more time.
Read the KJV, stocking up on ammo, I've been paranoid lately. Splc, got them hating on me.
All right. Why'd I do that? Why'd I play that? Because like I said, I did that some 6-7 years ago, right? The Southern Poverty Law Center is the watchdogs, nonprofit watchdogs that was started by two small hats. No, all I know, I do remember it was a couple of small hat GMO frauds that started this nonprofit that said that they were going to be the watchdog for hate groups, domestic terrorist groups. They would be the resources that the government will use. They will feed them the information. They will define what and who is considered a hate group, who needs to be watched, so forth and so on, right? And this is where we see that the hypocrisy that the so-called white man is dealing with is unbelievable. Southern Poverty Law Center charged with defrauding donors with payments to extremist informants. Now follow this. The same directives, the same nonprofit that's getting funded, they were paying informants within white supremacist organizations for them to carry on business as usual. Funding the very same thing that they said that they're supposed to be reporting against and stopping. I forgot what the name of the little neo-Nazi group was when they had that that incident where that white woman got ran over at the protest in Charlottesville. The SPLC helped fund that white supremacist group that was involved in that march that the white woman got ran over. If y'all remember back in like 2019, no, what was it, 2020, somewhere around there. During the Black Lives Matter protest 2019, after the elections, one of them groups, the SPLC funded. The Southern Poverty Law Center was indicted Tuesday. Now, this is where I'll give Crash Patel and the Department of Justice, I'll give them credit where credit is due. You peel the layer on the onion, and this is probably for them to, go ahead and get off of the damn Epstein, man. We'll give you something else. Yeah, it was a black Charger ran over that white woman, and that was one of the groups that was out there was funded by the SPLC. They've been funding hate crime. They've been funding terror. Meanwhile, saying you and me are black identity extremists, and we need to be watched and monitored, infiltrated. The SPLC was indicted Tuesday on federal fraud charges alleging it improperly raised millions of dollars to secretly pay leaders of the Ku Klux Klan, and other hate groups for inside information. The Justice Department alleged the civil rights group defrauded donors by using their money to fund the very extremism it claimed to be fighting, with more than $3 million paid to informers through a now defunct program to infiltrate white supremacists and other extremist groups. Keep that in mind. Prosecutors allege some of the money was used by extremists to carry out other crimes, but court papers did not include specific examples. Did you hear that? The prosecutors are saying money was being used for them to carry out crime, but they didn't want to specify what it was. The SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. Can you imagine? Look, here they go. Now, why am I so heavy on it? This is their website, extremist groups ideology, and shout out to the brother Benaiah, because he said that they had I don't know what the name of the organization is, but they had some Israelite lawyers that went and approached the SPLC about how they was categorizing and misrepresenting the so-called Black Hebrew Israelites. And it does look like he said that they took a lot of stuff down, but they did, they left some things. And brothers that's associated, affiliated with me, y'all remember when we was at True Nation, our old congregation, all that, the SPLC had on their website a picture of my son and brother Shalimah out teaching, advertised in their booklet. It's in their booklet on their website. That's why I was like, man, the SPLC's hate. They had my son out there, picture to him out the street teaching, and said that this was a hate group, blah blah blah. The old website, I don't know where it is. Maybe it still exists somewhere. I'm not sure. But they had the list of all of the, various Israelite camps and the doctrines and where did they addresses and every place where to find them. It was wild. But it didn't start here. They started back in 90, well, not the SPLC, so to speak, but the information of them wanting to hold on, where's my thing at? I was just saying that of them trying to infiltrate started a long time ago. Now notice it said they had paid informers. Now this is a PDF booklet that I found, and I've had it for years, and I've been meaning to do something about it because just I know, man, the Israelite community, just like any other community of progression, has been infiltrated, and that's just COINTELPRO has not been defunct; it's still in effect. The so-called white man under J. Edgar Hoover always had a fear of a black messiah in the uprising of the so-called black man in his consciousness, because as he wakes up, the other tribes wake up, and the nations now learn that all the information and the histories that they learned overseas is all coming to pass, and they know they need to get in line. And the white man's like, oh, the gig is up. We got to shut them down. So what do? They always use inside men to do things. So look, this is a book called, this is a guideline. It's called the Guidelines for Establishing and Operating Gang Intelligence Units and Task Force. Guidelines for Establishing and Operating Gang Intelligence Units and Task Forces. Okay, this is what they use when they want to take gangs down or whatever. One thing that they use all the time is informants. Look at it. Develop policies for managing and controlling confidential informants. Controlling. The area of task force operations that requires the highest degree of command and control from the task force commander is the management of confidential informants. The informants are necessary investigative, quote, tool in law enforcement History clearly demonstrates, however, that informants pose a significant risk to the task force, to officers, and to themselves if they are not properly managed and controlled. This is important. I'm going to show you why in a minute. History clearly demonstrates, however, that informants pose a significant risk to the task force, to officers, and to themselves if they are not properly managed and controlled. Now, look down here. Now, this is basically them talking about how they have to, go through training on how to deal with informants. Items that should be addressed by the confidential informant policies include types of informants that are permitted and who needs to approve their use, rules regarding relationships, opposite gender considerations, fraternization and business relationships, supervisory review responsibilities, supervisor and commander approval is required. This is all what law enforcement uses. This is their guidelines in their handbook that they have to read. They got to go through policies when they deal with their informants. What do they also got? Payments of informants. Supervisory pre-approval required before payment is made. Signed receipts by an informant required for all payments. 2-officer rule when meeting with or paying informants. That's important. Watch this. Confidential informant or CI agreement and liability waiver. A confidential rule for informant files. Guidelines regarding release of information, documentation requirements for all informant activities. So they got everything. They got to have receipts, who and when you're meeting up. You got to have a limitation on how much you can get along with them. And if you're dealing with a female, your interactions with her, how far you can go, how far you can't go, everything, right? Now look down here. It also says what? For informants on pretrial, probation, or parole supervision, the supervising pretrial, probation, or parole officer should be informed of the potential use of the informant and may need to obtain the approval of the agency director before someone can be used as an informant. So you got cats that's on probation, parole. This is why when cats get out of jail, get out the pen, and they go back in the hood and they get stuff started up again and get back to selling drugs, and people get locked up, everybody but them, they jumping right back out. These are all CIs and informants. When brothers get and listen, this is just being wise, and I'm not saying that the shoe fits everybody, but the book of Proverbs 27, I think it's 16, it says, be thou diligent to know the state of thy flock. Sometimes people get down on IUIC because they got very stringent rules regarding who they are IDing and coming in and want your information. Some stuff could be extreme, but some stuff I understand why. When we had a larger congregation, we had a congregate information form that people had to fill out. And yes, we wanted to know, where do you have a criminal record? And that's not because we want to be nosy, but at the same time, we need to know who we're allowing into our body. If a man got charges of being a PDF file and he's on Megan's Law and everything else, and we got a congregation with women and children, that's something that we have to consider before allowing a man to be around like that. Sometimes you bring somebody up in there, man, and yeah, man, I just got out, blah, blah, blah. I learned the truth in jail, and I want to join the man, you better put that brother on a serious probation and timing, because I know these are individuals that they bringing in there as informants, COINTELPRO agents, and it's not high part. Listen, man, been in it long enough. Brothers have seen and known. Brothers been stopped and talked to by police, followed in stores, being told, yeah, I'm agent, we watching you, or we know you, we know y'all, blah, blah, blah. I've been in places, man, where introduce or see a brother, yeah, I know you. Yeah, how do you know me? Oh, don't worry about it. I know you, brother. I'm like, wow, okay. And that goes on. So Cass has been on probation, parole. You want less time, you want to get out, you want to clear your parole, you want some more money. Take this Go do this, get us this information, that information. Then when you start seeing all the confusion going on within the Israelite community, doctrinal changes, brothers getting caught up with all kind of folly, it's like, what is going on? Jay's getting honey pots, man, females being used to take brothers down. That's why, leaders got to be on point, because you cut the head off, man, they hoping that the bodies will fall. But we can see here that informers were being used with the SPLC. They was paying cats off, right? But even before, the SPLC, and I know I seen the brother, what's the name? He had brought this out. I don't know how familiar he was with it, but this was going on way back when. I got it in here. Let me see. I thought I put it in here. Maybe not. If I didn't, no problem. No, I didn't. Okay. No problem. So, back in 1999, the FBI had a operation called Project Megiddo. And I'll play you another song that I recorded back then. In 1999, in 2000, there's a song I did. I said that the press claims we're America's real live terrorists. And why did I say that is because of the knowledge that we had of Project Megiddo. Now, Project Megiddo in 99 was an operation that the FBI was using. And I'll just read. Project Megiddo was a report, researched, and written by the United States FBI under Director Louis Freeh, released October 20th of 1999. The report named followers of white supremacy, Christian identity, the American militia movement, Black Hebrew Israelites, and apocalyptic cults as the potential terrorists who might become violent in reaction to the new millennium. So Y2K was going on. The thought of the end of the world is happening in 2000, all the other stuff, man. They laid out a whole report, and the FBI got involved and was saying that the Israelites in particular were one of the groups that was going to be talking about end time prophecies, and that's when we was labeled as an extremist group and domestic terrorists. And brother Elder Rashab and Aladat, y'all remember when that report came out, we was like, oh snap, they calling us terrorists now, like, oh, it's going down. And I did that song with my brother Baaaad, how Still Standing. And in that song, that's why I said, oh, they're claiming we're terrorists now. But that's how long I've been aware of and knowing that they were constantly involved in Israelite activities, knowledge, and information, right? So the SPLC has got the nerve to be running around here talking about, oh, everybody else's hate group, but they're the ones funding this stuff, man. That's how you know the game is rigged. This place is corrupt as hell. Wicked is all outdoors. Look, Job 17. We're gonna read one down to we'll just read one down to maybe about 6. My breath is corrupt, my days are extinct, the graves are ready for me. So Job was like, man, everything, all the odds is against me. All the odds is against us at this point, right? Are there not mockers with me? And doth not mine eye continue in their provocation? So what are they constantly doing? They provoke and say they're a hate group, they're a cult. We need to stop them. They're anti-Semitic, blah, 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 blah. They're constantly coming against us. And we're sitting back saying, we're nonviolent. You ain't seen or caught us in nothing. What are you talking about? And then they go about there and they funding these other particular groups who are going out there terrorizing and committing crimes, as we just got to seeing in that article. And then they want to lump us in with the folly and say, look, they're just like these other groups that we're promoting, that we're provoking, that we're encouraging them to go out there and commit acts of crime. And we're like, we ain't did none of that. You ain't seen us burn near cross, near church. You ain't seen us attack and do nothing. Only thing brothers have done is defend themselves. You ain't heard no pipe bomb, none of that stuff that came from the Israelites. But here they go. Lump us all in with stuff that they're out here committing and doing. Continued on, lay down now, put me in surety with thee. Who is he that will strike hands with me? For thou hast hid their heart from understanding, therefore shalt thou not exalt them. He that speaketh flattery to his friends, even the eyes of his children shall fail. So what are they doing? They committing, talking flattery to their friends. Yeah, we got them. We got them infiltrated. We're monitoring them. We're watching them. Yeah, they're a hate group. They're extremists. The fact that they even say that you are a black identity extremist, when they came out with that term in like 2017, that was a slap in the face already for people who's had their nationality. Let's just look at a tribe. Let's just look at a so-called black man. How many times has their nationality, our nationalities, whatever, been changed within the last 2 decades or so, 3 decades? Colored, black, African American, Afro American, Nubian, I mean, constantly being changed. So for a man to say, well, no, hold on, stop telling me who I am. You're telling me Negro, I'm black, I'm gonna find out for myself. Hold on, you're being extreme now. You're trying to find your identity. You don't want to trust us? Oh, we got one. They're trying to find out who they are. Label them as extremists. And now we're going to cry foul. Let me see. Look at this. The FBI spends a lot of time spying on Black Americans. The FBI released a new trove of documents relating to its surveillance of Black activists. They're mostly redacted. No kidding. The FBI has come under intense criticism for the 2017 leak exposed its counterterrorism division had invented a new unfounded domestic terrorism category. It's called Black identity extremism. They just invented, they decide, they dictate policy. They say who and what you can and can't say. You understand? And the same ones who's out here creating this whole narrative are the same ones who's out here promoting and paying for the destruction of our people. And they want to sit back and lump us all together and say, oh, you guys are all the same. No. Now look at this. No, hold on. Let me get back over here in the scriptures. I'm not done with that yet. Reading Job 17:5 again. Now it says, he that speaketh flattery to his friends, even the eyes of his children shall fail. So there is, regardless of what they're out here saying and doing against us, the Lord said that his offspring, they're still going to fail in all their attempts. You know, the scriptures tell us that in 2 Corinthians 13. In verse 8, for we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. See? And in that same song, when I said that they claim we're America's real out terrorists, I said, but we're blessed with the best. Forget the rest. They make our status go from minor to major. Maybe I'll leave with that song. Maybe I'll close out with that song. But nonetheless, they can't do nothing against the truth but for the truth. That's why I said his eyes of his children is going to fail. There's nothing they can do about it. But what do? Verse 6. He have made me also a byword of the people. Oh, those are Black identity extremists. Those Black Hebrew Israelites. They're constantly throwing that slander on us. We don't identify as that. Made me a byword of the people, and the fourth time I was a tapper. So there we see what's going on in one aspect, right? Psalm 37, let's read 12. The wicked plotteth against the just and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. This is all plot. This is all conspiratory or conspiring, I should say, that they constantly are going against. Now they said they funded white supremacists and other groups. Now, in other articles, they listed nothing but white supremacist groups. Ku Klux Klan groups, neo-Nazi groups. Now, I didn't hear of any other ethnic groups being funded. Now, it said that some weren't being were being quiet about it, or well, not necessarily quiet, but others were getting paid as well to carry out particular activity. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to say that any Israelite groups was funded or ever got any money. Yeah, Karen Bass, she's the mayor over here. She went in on Senator Jeff Sessions about this whole thing. Their congressional hearing is online. Y'all can check that out. Karen Bass, I'll give her credit for that. She went in on Jeff Sessions dealing with that. But there's plots against us. Lest anybody think that it's not. This is why we're always, harboring on these particular points, because our people will sit back and say, man, you're in a free country, man. America's for everybody. There's nothing wrong with this. If you don't like it, you can leave, and blah, 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 blah. And the only reason why is black folks holding down black folks. Yeah, that definitely is the case in many situations. However, to deny that there isn't that this place isn't overran by white privilege, that the system isn't based upon a white hegemony and them ruling over all the rest of the nations and peoples, especially the Israelites, you got to be a damn fool. To think that this system is not corrupt and isn't based upon the continual oppression and then dumbing down and keeping our people ignorant, you got to be a fool. And the only way that they can do it is by conspiring, is by subtlety and deceit and wickedness and misdirection and everything else. Matthew 26, I'm reading 1 down to 4. And it came to pass when Yahushua had finished all these sayings, he said unto his disciples, ye know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is to be betrayed and to be crucified. Then assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take Yahushua by subtlety and kill him. So always has been the acts of subtlety, how they get across their agendas against our people. They can't just do things outright, blatant in our faces, man. So as long as the SPLC has been in existence and established by damn near the worst of the heathen, look, matter of fact, hold on. Let's get that in Ezekiel 7. And what verse is that? Yeah, here we go. So Ezekiel 7. Now this is a cyclical ring of judgment, where we see the land of Israel being overran with the heathen, and this is how you know who they are, because of the ignorances and the wickedness of the children of Israel, right? Now, verse 19, we'll read down. It says, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. The silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh. So how is this, twofold? Is because back then, the children of Israel was trusting in idols, gold, silver, so forth and so on. Today in Babylon, same thing. People are trusting in their money, their finances, thinking that that's going to save them. When they realize that it's not, they're going to realize that it's worthless, just like we're seeing now with the inflation and everything else. My sons, they starting to realize now the cost of living, now that they got jobs and they doing their thing. My youngest said he went to the store yesterday. He bought one bag of groceries containing maybe about 4 things. He spent almost $30. He's like, man, this is no joke. I can't believe this is what we're into. I'm like, yeah, that's inflation. That's, the evil that we're under right now. Silver and gold getting tossed in the street shall not be able to deliver him in the day of the wrath of Yahweh. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. Yeah, because our people think that that's what's going to save them. No. As for the beauty of his ornament, he set it in majesty. But they made the images of their abominations and their detestable things therein. Therefore have I set it far from them. And I will give it into the hands of the strangers for a prey, and to the wicked of the earth for a spoil, and they shall pollute it. So who's the wicked that's controlling the earth? Job 9:24, the so-called white man. What's been given into the hand of strangers? Our land, right? And it's been taken over. But look at this. My face will I also turn from them, and they shall pollute my secret place, for the robber shall enter it and defile it. Make a chain, for the land is full of bloody crimes, and the city is full of violence. Wherefore I will bring the worst of the heathen. Who's occupying our land right now? Who's brought up there? What? How do you know them? Look, it says, and they shall possess their houses. Who's living in our houses right now? That's why I call them squatters. Occupying our land, sitting over there, taking advantage, living the high life, claiming and proclaiming that they're the real owners, that they're the people. The Most High called them the worst of the heathen. Man, ain't nothing worse than the small hat GMO fraud that's controlling the banking system, that's controlling the entertainment industry, that's funding and creating nonprofit organizations, utilizing supposedly to identify hate groups to stop them from, inflicting terror on the minorities. And meanwhile, they're doing none of the above. All manners of wickedness, all roads lead to them. And as soon as you say one word about them, that's anti-Semitic. That's not fair. You're a hater. You don't like us. But they're committing genocide, bombing schools, kids, starving out, homeless. Refugee encampments in Palestine and Gaza and so. And as soon as you say, "Hey, that's not right, man. You're violating people's human rights over there." You don't like it? What's the matter? You anti-Semitic? You don't like us? As soon as I say that, that's why the Lord said they're the worst of the heathen. You understand? This is what we're dealing with. And they're the ones that started the Splc. They're the ones who's out here saying we're going to stop everybody from hating on us. But, oh no, they're funding. Job 15:34, for the congregation of hypocrites shall be desolate, and fire shall consume the tabernacles of bribery. They conceive mischief and bring forth vanity, and their belly prepared to see. That's the SPLC in a nutshell. That's the operations that the so-called white man is being lined up as the good guys. And meanwhile, they're the evil of the evilest. Psalm 55:11, wickedness is in the midst thereof. Deceit and guile depart not from her streets. That's a fact. Constantly enthralled with wickedness, deceit. As they're talking about, we need to stop these domestic terrorists, Israelites, because they're a doomsday cult. And here they are funding the very same thing that they say they stand against. One more. Isaiah 59, verse 4 and 5. None calleth for justice, nor pleaded for truth. All this time they've been going by, they've been getting taxpayer money off the books, no taxes paid, everything else, nonprofit, living it up. That's why, when you wonder if any of these nonprofit organizations, whoever they may be, are they compromised, or can they be compromised, funding cut, anything else, or are they being given money to carry out certain deeds and agendas? Absolutely. This is why there's none calling for justice. Oh, now we're getting some justice. They've been operating for a long time in wickedness. That's why I also said, well, then where's the outcry from the Israelites? Where a lot of people. I said maybe they, Jakes didn't know about this, but now it's understood. But if some knew about it and said, I ain't worth talking about, I ain't gonna bring that up. As much as they done slandered us and said some bullshit about it, what? You're not gonna glory in the fact that they finally got busted? Something's up. That's me speaking. None called for justice, nor pleaded for truth. They trust in vanity and speak lies. They conceive mischief and bring forth iniquity. They hatch cockatrice eggs. Cockatrice is like a snake. You know, they hatching venomous traps all over the place and weave the spider's web and trapping and trapping people using paid informers and all kind of madness. He eateth of the eggs, he that eateth of their eggs dieth, and and that which is crushed breaketh out into viper. So let's get back over here, man. Let me pull this out too. This ain't the first time they got busted. I remember doing current events years ago. This was like 20. I think this happened maybe 2017, 18, somewhere around there. One of the founders, Splc fires founder Morris D's. Internal emails highlight issues with harassment and discrimination. This was like 7, 8 years ago. Maybe even 9 years ago. At least 7 to 8 years ago that I brought this up. That the SPLC head had got busted for harassing women and for racial discrimination. The hypocrisy, I knew about that. That was years ago. Now that they talking about they was funding white supremacist groups and telling them go out and commit crimes and using informants claiming that they're getting back information. No, we wouldn't get back no damn information. The head got busted harassing women and discriminating against Jake way back then. And they still never managed to shut the place down or cut off funding for being hypocrites. So this was years ago. Now look at this. White men are in charge of civil rights now. Yeah, this is why none call for justice. Look at it. Reports from early 2026 indicate Trump administration has installed new leadership within federal civil rights offices, including white men in key positions. So if they're the ones who are dictating what is considered civil rights, what cases is being heard, what cases are being thrown out, ignored, not acknowledged, what civil rights nonprofit organizations are going to get approved and not approved, white men now in control of what used to be something that so-called black men stood up for. I mean, look, MLK, all these other, civil rights activists back in the 60s and the 50s stood up for their own rights and had to be their own voices. And now here in 2026, the white man says, oh, I'm the head of your social justice. I'm the head of your civil rights. I'll decide whether, well, you see what happens when it's in their hands. They taking the damn money and they're going funding their own movements. "2026 report, the Trump administration has installed new leadership within federal civil rights offices, including white men in key positions, with a focus on investigating anti-white and anti-conservative bias." Did you hear that? That's the new civil rights. If you're anti-white, they're the ones being oppressed now. They're the ones being suppressed. They're the ones being hated on. Oh, no more is it about blacks. Like we're in control now. The new civil rights is about anti-white. They're the ones needing civil rights now, right? Their civil rights are being violated. I guess they're the ones being pulled over driving while black. They're the ones who's being. I just seen a video of this Jake man. He was walking and he's filming himself, and it's 3-4 cop cars, and he's being followed by 4 or 5 cops at least. And they like, hey, let me talk to you. Slow down. Stop. And he's like, no, for what? Stop. Come on, bro. And the damn cop is trying to sound like a damn Jake talking. Come on, bro. Let me tell you, the reason why we start, he's like, am I being detained? Yes, you're being detained. He's like, for what? Because they said when he was walking, he looked back at them twice and then adjusted his backpack. The fact that he looked at them and adjusted his backpack while he was walking, they said was probable cause for them to pat him down and search him for a weapon. Now the Jake stood on 10 toes and said, nope, I don't consent to a search. Nope, I'm not giving I don't have an ID. I'm not giving my name. And they was like, okay, well, we're just gonna write this down as a John Doe. And then they told him he can go. I guess that's not a civil rights violation, right? I mean, let's be clear. We know that we've been marginalized, we've been oppressed, redlined, the whole nine. Now they reverse engineer this thing. That's what I said. This is the Twilight Zone, bizarro world. Everything is flipped upside down. White man's burden. He's now civil rights being violated, and now they got to, flip the whole. Look at this. So the Office of Civil Rights Reports 2025 noted that under the second Trump administration, the OCR's leadership shifted with 4 men, including 3 white men, taking leading roles. DOJ civil rights focus, the Department of Justice under Trump administration shifted its focus, targeting DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, policies and launching initiatives that reflect a pivot towards addressing claims of discrimination against white individuals. So they said when DEI was around, they was only focusing on helping blacks and the sodomites and all of that. White men was getting excluded. We don't like that. So get rid of DEI, and now white men and white people being discriminated against. Karen and all of them. We're in a bizarro world for real. Andrea Lucas, a Trump-appointed member of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, has spearheaded efforts to focus on anti-DEI efforts and protecting workers from discrimination based on race, including cases focused on white employees. Now look at this. Investigating conservative targets. The administration has targeted groups such as the Splc, which the DOJ has accused of manufacturing extremism and biases against conservatives. So that's the one thing that they did, was they focused in and they got the Splc and caught them slipping. They tracked down the receipts that they paying the informers and everything else, man, they got them, right? Now, I'm going to skip all that. Here goes one of the key players right here too, George Soros. This is how you know, man, the white man is wicked as hell. They do everything from the bankers. They fund wars. They do it all. This guy was funding both the SPLC and Black Lives Matter. So polar opposites. SPLC is taking that money and they're funding white extremism. And then he's going funding Black Lives Matter and telling them go turn up in the streets and riot and act a fool. He was trying to cause complete chaos in the streets. He tried to get a race war cracking, but it didn't go down. The Most High said there ain't time for that yet. But look, based on available reports and statements from the Open Society Foundation, here is a breakdown regarding George Soros' funding of the Southern Poverty Law Center and Black Lives Matter. Yes, George Soros' Open Society Foundations has funded the SPLC. As of April 2026, reports indicate that Soros, along with other high-profile donors like George Clooney, have contributed to the organization, which has recently faced allegations regarding its fundraising and expenditures. BLM, indirect funding or broad support, Soros and Open Society Foundations have not directly funded Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, that's in quotes, the main BLM organization. That's a lie. They definitely got money from Open Society. Racial Injustice Initiative, however, following the 2020 protests, Soros announced $220 million investment in racial justice initiatives, which included funding for various Black-led organizations and groups involved in the broader movement for racial equity. That's where the money went to the BLM. Funding confusing claims suggesting a direct $33 million donation specifically to the BLM organization are considered misleading or inaccurate, often confusing large-scale, diverse, and long-term funding for racial justice reform with direct funding for a single entity. So they said that basically the money got spread out. BLM got some of that money. That's why that place got shut down, because one of the head witches in there, she was paying her brother for security. That she was buying real estate properties with the money, abusing money. Everything got exposed, and they got jacked up, and the greed ended up destroying that whole movement that was based upon really the promotion of the LGBTQ HIV community, and y'all know that. So here you got one demon man saying, put money over here for them, stir up the pot. Money over here, stir up the pot. And y'all clash with each other so that we can bring quote unquote change. Follow the money, man. You're going to see it. Here goes another thing. If y'all remember this, this is back in 2020. And remember what I said earlier, where in the FBI, excuse me, in the not the FBI, the guidelines for establishing the op gang intelligence. Now it said what? That a 2-officer rule needs to be had when meeting or paying informants. And they said also that where was it at? These policies should be designed to take full advantage of the critical investigative asset while protecting the integrity and well-being of the task force, the officers, their parent agencies, and the informant, right? So the policies need to be adhered to protect officers, the task force, so forth and so on. And they should have 2 people coming out at once. Why am I bringing this out? Because I brought this out years ago when this happened. And this was interesting if y'all remember this. The New Jersey shooting, the New Jersey deli. So small hats got taken out at the hands of allegedly these 2 individuals, right? And you can see here, Anderson 47 and Graham 50. This is part of the article. Shot and unalive Jersey City detective Joseph Seal in a chance meeting in a cemetery on December 10th. My question is why were they meeting up with this detective at a cemetery before they go and carry out this act of terrorism? You just seen informants. The policy is to protect their officers, follow the rules. Before you make payments, go with a partner. Now this is me. This is what I'm trying to put together. They met up with a detective, Joseph Seals, at a cemetery of all places before they went and carried this thing out. And then they just said, well, one of the reasons why you got to watch yourself is because what? Your safety could be in danger when you're dealing with these informants who get desperate. Who knows what happened? He didn't have the money. It was short, or they took the money and said, F this, we tired of being under your thumb. We're going to go out here and wild out. Who knows? But I'm saying, how you going to meet with this cat, man, before you go? I'm going to leave that there. Marinate on that, right? Now, mind you, they try to tie these 2 in and say that they was Israelites immediately. Within 10 hours of the story. Yeah, they were Black Hebrew Israelites. They got ties to the Israelites. These guys had no ties to the Israelites at all. The only thing that they had that they were going off of was social media posts or searches that the brother did like 10 years before they did this. That he was looking and seeing, found some Israelite information or whatever. And they like, look, he searched them out. They were Israelites. They did it. They tried to pin that on the Israelite community, try to slander us quick, fast, in a hurry. Splc, all of them. Yeah, they're Israelites. See, we're justified. They're terrorists, see? And then we're hearing about, the Splc is funding terrorist groups and other groups. Remember that? Not just the white extremists, other groups getting funded. Who knows? But they for sure try to say that it was Israelites that did it, and an anti-Semitic terrorist attack on the Jewish deli. And turns out that was debunked and false. And never did our community get an open-ended apology regarding this. Never did they come. Jonathan Greenblatt, the head of the ADL, he went on what's supposed to be our radio station, the Power 105, and went on there and continued the lie and the slander. ADL head explains anti-Semitism on a New York hip-hop radio show, The Breakfast Club, Jonathan Greenblatt speaks to Charlemagne the God and DJ Envy and their millions of listeners about the relationship between the Jewish and Black community. Here's just a portion of that. I didn't play the interview because I couldn't find it, like a clip of him just talking about it. It was like an hour long, so whatever. If y'all want to see it, go look it up. But he said this. Greenblatt responded pointing to an attack by 2 Black Hebrew Israelites on a New Jersey coastal grocery store, which left 6 people dead in December 2019. So he was talking about the dangers of the ideologies of the extremists. He said, yeah, remember in 2019 when 2 Black Hebrew Israelites killed 6 people. And that was a straight up lie. Neither one of them was, quote unquote, faithful, believing, following Israelites who was attached to any camp, congregation, church at all. They utilized the man's web search or Facebook post from 10 years ago that he had posted or had searched the Israelites. They had no record of him following after the faith was involved, none of it. They just made up the lie. They ran with it. They created the whole damn scenario. And then when it came out that wasn't true, they never came out and apologized and said that it wasn't. This is why the white man is the devil. This is why we got to deal with what we deal with, man. Because and even, what was it? Maybe about 2-3 years ago. Could have been longer than that. Maybe 4 years ago. If y'all remember in New York, there was a small hat and his son was coming out of a deli, man, and somebody drove by and shot at them with pellets or BBs. They was quick to say it was a hate crime carried out by the Black Israelites. Come to find out it was a damn white man that did it. So they create this agenda and say that, oh, they're part of this particular hate group. We've got a whole classification of all of them. Yeah, they're all involved in the same type of activities. This is problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem. They create one reaction, create the solution, all that. See, they go out there and say that we're part of this same domestic terrorist type situation where there's no evidences of us being involved in any such thing outside of holding the Bible. And now that's going to be said that having this is an act of terrorism. Reading from it, be outlawed. You can't speak from this thing anymore. That's when it's going to, flip, right? We haven't terrorized nobody, but with our words in the spirit of the Most High, IQAhmath, and the prophecies. If that's terror, okay, let that be what terrorizes you. Words. We ain't carried out near thing, man. And Splc has been involved in corruption for a long time and trying to paint themselves as the good guys and us as the bad guys, and they finally being brought to justice. Hopefully, we'll see. But with that being said, man, it's been an honor and a pleasure, man, delivering some information to y'all, man. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, IQAhmath. Prayerfully, y'all enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. And Lord willing, catch y'all on the rebound, man. Shout out to everybody that tuned in. If you haven't already, make sure you wipe your feet, man, on your way out, man. Hit that like button. Let it be known that you were watching and that you want this information to be spread so that the algorithm can at least do a little bit of a solid, man. Help share the video a little bit. They do a good job on suppressing our stuff for sure. And that just is what it is. But with that being said, man, I'm going to get up out of here, man. Y'all be well. Take care. I'll let y'all later. Shalom.